Okay, good afternoon everyone. My name is Nifon Ime Ekpo. Welcome back to Matterfaith. In this section of this video, we will be discussing limit of a function. And what are those things you should consider when a topic like this is raised? What is a limit? What is the limit of a function? And when do we say that the limit of a function exists? Having discussed those three things, we are going to solve these three problems related to this. And please, before I start, please subscribe to this channel page. Click on the notification bell for more videos. So let's start. Always remember to comment on your question. Okay, so when we talk about limit is seen as the backbone of calculus. It is essential for the concept of calculus. It helps in the concept of calculus. So what is the limit of a function? Let's consider this. If you have a limit of a function f with a single variable x, as this x approaching a constant, we can denote this by what? L, because this is the outcome. This is actually a limit of a function. On all of this, what are we saying, and how does this limit of a function help? Okay, so limit of a function helps to describe how a function behaves as its independent variable get closer to a particular constant or a particular number. I come again. Why do we discuss limit of a function? And okay, should I put it this way? How does limit helps in function? Limit of a function helps to describe how a function behaves as the independent variable get closer to a particular number or a particular constant to bring out an outcome. We can also use graph to explain that. So let's assume this. Let's say if you have a limit of as f of x as x approaches to, what will the outcome be? So let's sketch a graph to explain that. We have, let's consider this as our y, or what? Our f of x axis. And we can consider this our what? X axis. Now we have this to be 1, we have here to be 2. Remember they said as x approaches to. So when they said as x approaches 2, you are not going to pick exactly 2. You are going to pick it from the right hand side, you are going to look at it from the right hand side, and you are also going to look at it from the left hand side. So let's sketch this out. Let's sketch this out, yes. Now if I pick it from the right hand side, we are actually looking at a limit of f of x as x tends to what? 2 positive. As x tends to what? 2 positive, that is 2.3, 2.4. But if you are looking at it from the left hand side, this is the right hand side. If you are looking at it from the left hand side, we are looking at the lim of f of x as x tends to what? 2 negative. Please don't always forget this. You are going to consider it in that 2 aspects, and if you have the exact answer and you compare it and you have the same answer, at that point you can always conclude that the limit of that function exists. So let's look at it. If you are picking it from this, if you are picking it from the right hand side down to here, to this point, which is the 2, you will discover that if you trace it out to this y, remember the y or the f of x is what our outcome will be. The outcome as x approaches this 2. So if you trace it out, you have 2. I know if you trace this thing out probably from a right graph, you have maybe 2.3, 2.1, so that our f of x here is what? 2. Approximately 2 to a whole number. Then if you also take it from the left hand side, approaching this point, x, approaching this point where x is what? 2. You can also trace it down here. You see that you have something 2 point this. So that we can always say that our f of x is what? 2. So therefore, since from the left hand side is 2 and from the right hand side is giving us 2, we can conclude that the limit of this function is what? 2, and as such that limit exists. I repeat myself, what is the limit of a function? Limit of a function helps to describe how a function behaves as the independent variable x approaching a particular constant or a particular number. Now, when we are looking at existence of a limit. When we are talking about the existence of a limit, we are looking at it from the left hand side, and we are also considering it from the right hand side. Then comparing the two, if you have the same answer, then at that point your limit does what? Exist. In our next video, we will be solving question related to the existence of a limit. So this is just simple. Let's solve this. I think this will explain more. If you try to solve this problem, it will explain this graph more. There are several ways. We have three ways of solving a limit of a function. We can use a numerical way. You can also use a graphical way. In our next video, we will use the three ways to explain. More reason you should always remember to click on your notification button. So let's just solve this elementary limit of a function. I'll shift my camera small so you can see very well.